NVIDIA announced yet another enterprise software stack that sits right on top of NeMo related to agents. Dan, what is it and what's the significance of it?
So basically, agentic AI, for all of you out there, there's kind of these two sort of schools of agentic. And so I'm going to talk about it a little bit theoretically here. And Pat, maybe you can add some color as well on what NVIDIA is specifically doing as well. But like, this has been the hottest trend in digital. So we saw this sort of evolution 2 years ago. The moment was about generative, sort of text-based. And then you kind of saw multimodal, multimodal, text, speech, video. And then you sort of have started to see smaller language models evolving, which is like text language model for very specific use cases. And then you're seeing the companies like ServiceNow, Salesforce, Microsoft building the next wave, which was assistants, which are basically AIs that could do a specific task. And now you're seeing agents, which is the idea of being able to basically deploy a force of assistants that can work on various tasks and actually co-communicate. They can intercommunicate between one another. And so you could essentially put forward someone to do a work stream on supply chain, or a work stream on operations, or a work stream on finance. And you can say, okay, we're working on these 3, 4, 5 work streams, and all the agents can work together. So what needs to happen for this to work is there's a lot of orchestration that is required. And so there's kind of these two sort of consumption layers that are going to be really important for people out there. There's the software kind of ISV consumption, which is what we've heard a lot about. So just use Agentforce as an example. Agentforce, the idea is you're a Salesforce customer. You can get kind of pre-built agentic AI that can then be put into your environment that can do sales motions. Great. That's very cool. Well, guess what? Someone has to develop all that stuff. It actually has to be developed, and Salesforce's platform itself doesn't really develop agents. What happens is they train agents on a platform like what NVIDIA is building with Blueprint that can basically take a bunch of pre-canned agentic capabilities, mix it with proprietary data sets, put it all together so then it can be deployed in software. So what they basically, and NVIDIA has been sort of, Pat, left out of the overall agentic conversation, believe it or not, despite the fact that they are kind of the hardware for training everything. You really didn't hear about agents and NVIDIA until this event. And so I think that's kind of in my take that agent and Blueprint to NVIDIA is for the developer what sort of the ServiceNow, Microsoft, and Salesforce products are for the user, for the enterprise. Someone has to build the agents. NVIDIA is trying to make that easier.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, the amount of software that NVIDIA is generating. And I've been super disappointed with the enterprise, I'll call it the on-prem enterprise capabilities to be able to do that. Really, nobody has stepped forward yet. I think the closest example of it are bits and pieces of things that, let's say, IBM has done with their Watson X platform. You've seen a little bit of the data management action from companies like Cloudera, but pretty much a little bit of model management with Cohere. But there hasn't been a lot of action here. So, one thing that Jensen had said or reinforced, I'd heard this before, they reinforced, hey, we're market makers, not market takers, right? And I think this is a market making opportunity. And they had put forward, different agents, a research assistant, a financial analyst, employee support, customer service, sales development, all the ones that, Daniel, you and I have seen in our travels and travails to these enterprise SaaS companies. And if they can light these things up for the enterprise, I think they're shrinking the time to market that looks like a couple of years to really scale enterprise AI. And because they're NIMs, you can run them anywhere. You want to run them in the public cloud, do it. You want to run it in your private cloud, run it. So AI blueprints sit on top of NVIDIA NeMo that I know it's not per se a data management platform, but you're evaluating, you're customizing, you're curating, there's guardrails, and it also includes a RAG capability. on top of that.
And by the way, they're doing a lot of interesting stuff with models, the Nemotrons, what they're doing with Meta, Pat. I mean, you could say it's not a data management platform, but I would argue, how long do we need data management platforms in an era where AI should be able to discern different data format types? I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. By the way, one of the things, I just got an email literally as we're talking from NVIDIA about their AI blueprint for retail shopping assistants. That's kind of the example, though, is when you hear the stories from a Salesforce about what they're doing with Nordstrom, someone has to actually build and train a model that can then be implemented into the SaaS platform.
That's right.
That's the TLDR here, right?
It is. And it's funny. I don't applaud NVIDIA on a ton, but I think this is great because, quite frankly, there's nobody else doing this that you can apply this to on-prem capability. And Daniel, I have not talked to a single CIO or a single CDO that says, I'm going wholesale into the public cloud, right? It is they want their strategic data for the most part to sit there. They're afraid of the cost of the public cloud. Not everybody, of course. Just look at the growth that the public cloud is experiencing. But I think this is a very positive move.